Pitäisikö Olli laittaa vaikka tuolta ton liukuoven kiinni? Let's practice Guru Yoga, the last session for today. Yeshe Tsogyal. And then we'll finish the day with refuge, bodhicitta, and dedication of merit. Yeshe Tsogyal's blessing is already kind of seeping in. Yeshe ma, Yeshe ma, Yeshe ma, Yeshe ma. In your mind, you can call her to you yourself. Yeshe ma, Yeshe ma, Yeshe ma, Yeshe ma. Many ways to do Guru Yoga. We are using a very simple and direct way of just expressing the wish to be with her. We could sing hymns and prayers to her, chant mantras extensively, and the outcome would be the same. But now we will do very simple and direct. Just a prayer. Just a request for her to come. I would suggest having your eyes closed, because you better feel your body and her presence in your body that way. Namo Yeshe Tsogyal. Namo, Namo, Namo. I turn to you. I take refuge in you. I ask for your blessings and support and guidance, so that I may attain full enlightenment for the sake of all beings. And that's it. So once you feel her presence in your body, in your mind, in your heart, like actually feel her not thinking of her presence, but feel. Then you are on the frequency, and then you can just let go and surrender. Just receive the gift of the Guru. without hurry, letting her blessings flood through your being, spread into your being, into all nerves and muscles. See if your own knowing stays the same or changes in her company. What stays the same, what changes? Very important to understand why we practice Guru Yoga or other forms of Tantric yogas. Why we do them and why we don't do them. Thank you, Yeshema. Thank you, Yeshe Tsogyal. May your blessings and teachings of the Buddhas, Dharma, spread to all beings. Let's chant the 5 refuges. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Always feel the refuge. What is the refuge? Feel it. Useful to feel it eyes open and eyes closed. Check both. Then, short bodhicitta. May all beings be free 3-4 times from the beginning together. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. Feel bodhicitta. What is bodhicitta? And then dedication of merit. May all beings receive my accumulated merit. I dedicate the merit to the refuge and to all sentient beings. When was the last time we had refuge ceremony? Was it in November or December when we had the advanced weekend?
Yeah, the Christmas party.
Yeah. December? November.
I think it's December.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking of having a refuge ceremony this summer retreat in England. But you know, refuge ceremony is in open heart we view refuge or taking refuge in a slightly different way than in other schools of Buddhism, kind of more inwardly, that you take the refuge inwardly. And during the refuge ceremony, where we repeat the five refuges chanted together again and again and again for half an hour or something, externally everybody does the same. Everybody goes to the altar, then bows to the teacher, and teacher bows back, and also teacher goes to the altar. So externally it's the same. While if you look at refuge ceremonies in other schools of Buddhism, what happens is that the teacher you go in front of the teacher, and then he snaps a part of your hair, puts it there in like a plate, and then the plate is put on the altar later, and then he gives you a spiritual name, Dharma name. Then you might get something like this. So it's like maybe I could say that, of course, if you take refuge, it's always, something, your inner commitment. In some lineages it's said that you practice from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years before you take refuge. But as I said, in Open Heart, we view it a bit differently. When you become a student of a teacher, like myself, you know it. You don't have to ask it. You know when you're a student. That's how I felt it with my teachers, that you can talk about it, of course, teacher-student relationship, but when you become a student, then you know it. And how it becomes established, how it comes about, is that you spend time with the teacher, you study with the teacher, you practice what the teacher teaches, and you get to know each other. Just like in a similar way than in in a relationship with your friends and spouse. So it comes through time. If somebody, sometimes people ask me, I've been changing emails with somebody for a few weeks, or somebody's done guidance to awakening and woke up and something like that, a few weeks, a couple of months, and I might have never met the guy or a girl, usually a guy. And then there's a question that, are you my teacher now, or can you be my teacher? I don't feel that it works that way. Because, being a practitioner of some path, of some method, like Pemako path, Pemako Buddhism, you have to grow into it. Right? Makes sense, doesn't it? You don't, after the first weekend, you might be very excited and, motivated, have very, be exhilarated. But at that point, you can't really know if that is for you or not. Even if you have that exhilaration, you just don't know it. You might have had the same exhilaration after some, Vipassana retreat you did 2 months ago, and in a Zen retreat before that, But then something happens, time passes, and you kind of feel that maybe this is not for me. But if it is for you, then, all paths, if we are talking about like proper paths, proper path means that there is a method, and there is a teacher, and there is a community, and there is a goal why we are doing it. So when you find that path, you know that the path or a method has a teacher is kind of a way how it is, because there has to be someone or some people who know how it works, are at least a little bit ahead of the students. There's a good kind of a funny story about this. I can tell it right now. So there's this Japanese master of ninjutsu. He's still alive, but I won't mention the name. So he's like this legend of this martial art, right? And in Japanese martial arts, they have dan rates, D-A-N, dan. It's like a black belt, and you have different degree black belts. And the highest is 10th dan. So this ninjutsu master, he was 10th dan, but then his students started to get closer to 7th, 8th. So kind of, what will I do, because it's getting too close. So how he solved the situation is he added another 10 dans, gave himself 20th dan, while the students stayed 7th or 8th. So kind of give more distance. It's kind of a way how it's kind of a game, really. It's just a silly samsaric game, but well, as a teacher, I know a thing or two about these things. Have been fortunate to study with these masters and a whole bunch of teachers, but the point obviously is not that I don't view people who practice with me or my students in that way that they always have to be below me in their understanding or stage of practice. Of course, that's bullshit. That's just not part of how proper Dharma path works. Just like was it Jesus who said that you will do the same and even greater things than what I've done? It's Jesus' quote, right? So that's how it should be. So the goal is of any proper Dharma path, Mahayana, Vajrayana, Dzogchen, is to attain Buddhahood. And it's like a teacher who can also be master, Mahasiddha. It's very rare to have Mahasiddhas, but it also happens that it can be like a master operating as a teacher. But in our case, at this point, it's teacher, myself, couple of other, assistant teachers, and then there's masters, Yeshe Tsogyal, Guru Rinpoche, and then there's the community of practitioners, and we're all in it together. If any of us was missing, this wouldn't be it wouldn't be whole, right? So I don't know why I'm talking about this. Just I started by talking of the refuge. Did I say everything I wanted to say about that? Yeah, the main point of that refuge was that it's an inner commitment. It can be joining an open heart Pemak or refuge ceremony, can be kind of a general commitment to one's own path, to one's own truth, perhaps to teachings of the Buddha or Buddhas, or it can be more specifically a commitment to open heart. It's all in the mind of the student. As a teacher doesn't tell you, what you should commit or what you shouldn't commit. It's your own business. Okay, it's 5:15. I think we are done for today. Tomorrow, 8:45 doors, and starting at 9 a.m. And then we'll have a lunch break at around midday, and then finish for 3 tomorrow. Thank you very much. Let's continue tomorrow.